The funeral of David Caballero had just begun when his black gelding, Cuervo, stopped. The coffin descended into the earth, but the horse did not follow the procession. His hooves became rooted to the wet grass. Nothing would move him, not the priest's gentle pull, not the widow's tearful pleas. Rain soaked his glossy coat, yet he stood as if carved from stone.
Cuervo, come now. It's time to go home, son.
Please, Cuervo. He's gone. Let him rest.
That horse knows something. Look at him. He won't budge.
The villagers huddled under black umbrellas. Whispers turned to murmurs of unease. Something was profoundly wrong. Father Mateo raised his voice over the rain, reading the funeral rites, but his eyes kept darting to the unmoving horse. The words felt hollow. When the mourners finally dispersed, Cuervo remained. Night fell. A single lantern flickered beside the grave, and the horse stood guard over an empty coffin.
Something is buried with that coffin. Something that horse refuses to abandon.
For 3 days and 3 nights, Cuervo would not leave. He drank rainwater, refused grain, and waited, as if daring them to dig deeper. When dawn broke, Father Mateo carried fresh water to the grave. Cuervo stood exactly where they had left him, soaked and motionless. The horse drank only from a muddy puddle, ignoring the clean bucket. His ribs showed beneath the black coat.
He won't eat, Isabella. 3 days in this rain, and he still won't leave.
He's not staying for us. He's staying for David. Something went wrong.
I sealed that casket too quickly. Why would a hunting accident hide the body?
By afternoon, villagers whispered at the gate. They no longer called it a vigil. They called it a warning. That night, the priest knelt, unable to pray. A single thought tormented him. What if Cuervo knew something they had missed?
Brandon insisted the coffin be sealed, too damaged to view. But a hunting accident doesn't do that.
On the 3rd morning, the horse's eyes were hollow, but he stood. Father Mateo approached with a new resolve.
Whatever lay beneath that dirt, it was time to dig it up, even if it broke tradition.
Father Mateo called the widow and the grave diggers to the graveside. The horse stood like a statue of grief as the wind rose.
We are reopening this grave. Whatever is in that coffin, we need to see it. I won't let this horse suffer in vain.
Do it. I need the truth. David deserves the truth.
Father, this goes against every rule. People will talk. They'll say, we've lost our minds.
I take full responsibility. Start digging. Now.
Hector and Luis exchanged a long look, then thrust their shovels into the muddy earth. The crowd held its breath.
We're going to find trouble. I can feel it in my bones.
Cuervo watched the digging. His ears flicked with each scrape of the shovel. He had waited 3 days for this. More villagers gathered, their murmurs loud as the wind. The sound of digging echoed like a heartbeat through the rain. The hole deepened. What lay beneath would shatter. Every story told about David Caballero's death. The gravediggers hauled the coffin out of the mud with ropes. It landed on the grass with a hollow, weightless thud.
Open it, now.
The lid splintered back. Inside lay not a shroud, not a body, only burlap sacks stuffed with sand. Father Mateo's hands fell to his sides. The wet Bible slipped from his fingers onto the ground.
Sandbags. We buried sandbags. Where's my husband? Where?
This was no accident. This was a lie, a cold, deliberate lie.
Then Cuervo moved. For the first time in 3 days, the gelding lifted his head from the grave and walked. He stopped 5 paces distant at an untended plot of earth and pawed the dirt with a ragged, furious hoof.
Dig there. Whatever this horse knows, we are going to find it. Now.
Shovels plunged into the second grave as the crowd pressed closer, caught between terror and the need to see. Hector and Luis dug with frantic energy, the wet soil mounding behind them. Cuervo pawed the ground as if urging them deeper.
Stop. There's something here. It's not rock.
Luis knelt and brushed away the dirt. A human hand, curled and gray, rose from the grave.
Number? No. It can't be. Oh God, please no.
Careful, Luis. Clear the clay gently. We need to see, but respect the dead.
As they worked, a shoulder appeared, then the dark fabric of a suit. The body lay crumpled, face turned away. One of the villagers ran for Sheriff Morales. The crowd's whispers became a single, horrified murmur.
Step aside. What in God's name is going on here? Nobody touches anything. This entire cemetery is now under investigation.
Cuervo stood motionless once more, his breath steaming in the cold. The body remained unnamed, but the war for truth had begun. The gravediggers gently rotated the body. The face, though soiled by clay, was David Caballero.
Look at his throat. Bruises here, not a bullet. This was no hunting accident.
David, oh God, he didn't die in the woods. Someone killed him.
Her scream cut through the rain, and then she crumpled, caught by a neighbor's arms before she hit the wet ground.
Murder. All these days, the horse knew it was murder.
The crowd surged with panic and rage. The story of a misfired rifle was now a lie that demanded answers.
Nobody moves. I am locking this cemetery down until we have every piece of evidence.
Cuervo stood apart, whiskers twitching, his vigil over, but his eyes fixed on the grave, as if still guarding the truth.
God have mercy on us all.
The war for truth had just begun. In the mud, a murdered man waited for justice, and a horse had lit the way.
Hector, Luis, you know something about this. Start talking, or I'll assume you are accessories to murder.
We didn't kill him. He forced us. Brandon Vance came to us the night David died with cash and a plan.
We put sandbags in the official coffin and buried David's real body here. We never thought anyone would dig.
Brandon Vance, the business partner, why would he do this?
He said David was about to sell the land and ruin him. He strangled David himself. We just dug.
This is insane. I am being framed by two grave robbers because they got caught.
The crowd shrank from him as if from a plague. The man who had stood beside the widow now wore the mask of a murderer.
You were at my house, telling me it was an accident. How could you?
Both of you under arrest. Brandon, you are not leaving this town. I'll be watching.
The gravediggers were led away in irons, and Cuervo lifted his head, watching Brandon through the rain with an unblinking stare. At Brandon's ranch, Sheriff Morales found a truck still caked with cemetery mud. Under the seat lay a roll of cash and a blood-encrusted rope.
This rope matches the pattern on David's neck, and enough cash to buy 2 men's silence.
Back in town, the priest and widow pored over old photographs. One showed Brandon and David hunting the week before, both men smiling.
He was so eager to have the coffin sealed. He stood at my door the morning after, insisting David was too damaged to view.
He told me it was better to remember David alive. He was trying to keep me from seeing the truth.
I have enough to make Brandon sweat, but I need one more piece, a confession from his own mouth. I am waiting for the right moment.
The wake for David Caballero was arranged for that evening. Brandon would attend, unaware that the sheriff planned a public reckoning. Cuervo, now stabled nearby, paced restlessly. The horse knew the circle was closing.
Tonight, the whole town will watch, and Brandon will have nowhere to run.
As mourners gathered, the widow lit a candle for justice. The weight of the coming night pressed on every heart.
Sheriff, I was wrong. Cuervo didn't stay by instinct. He saw everything. He followed David's body that night.
The night David died, Cuervo slipped his halter and followed the cart, carrying his master's body to the cemetery. At the cemetery, Cuervo hid and watched the gravediggers swap the coffins, paid by a man in a tan coat. He stood on the hillside until dawn, his silhouette marking the spot of the secret grave.
That's why he refused to move. He was guarding David's real grave. We must tell Isabella.
Not yet. At the wake, with everyone watching, his reaction will condemn him. Cuervo's testimony will seal it.
The sheriff looked at Cuervo. The horse stood as if he understood, trusting them to finish what he started.
Even a beast knows when justice is due. Tonight, the town will know too.
The wake began at dusk. Candles flickered. The widow, pale, greeted guests who now knew David was murdered. Outside, night gathered. Inside, the sheriff waited with the rope and the truth, both coiled tight. Brandon Vance stepped through the door, his tan coat dry despite the rain outside. Conversations stalled, eyes cut away.
Isabella, I am so sorry. David was like a brother to me. I still can't believe it.
A brother? Then why did you insist no one see him? Were you afraid of what we might find?
He's sweating. Though the room is cool, guilt wears a mask, but it cannot hide from the truth.
In the back, Sheriff Morales touched the evidence bag in his pocket. His eyes never left Brandon.
Every word he says is a lie. Just a few more minutes. Let him hang himself before I do.
Look, I only wanted to spare you pain. David was so badly injured. It was better to remember him whole.
Whispers rippled through the room. Some clutched rosaries, others edged closer, sensing the air turning sharp.
Lord, give me strength to witness this. The hour of reckoning is near.
The sheriff stepped forward, a shadow moving toward the candlelight. The truth burned in his hand, ready to be spoken.
This morning we opened David's coffin. There was no body inside, only sandbags. Someone murdered him and hid the truth, and we found this rope, soaked in David's blood, hidden in Brandon Vance's truck.
He held up the blood-stained rope, and the room went still.
It was you. You killed him.
This is a lie. She's grieving. She doesn't know what she's saying.
The gravediggers confessed. They led us to the body. You paid them to bury David in an untended plot.
And Cuervo knew. The horse knew all along.
Brandon's face drained of color. The mask of grief slipped, revealing the monster beneath.
God sees you, Brandon Vance. There is no darkness deep enough to hide this sin.
The wake had become a courtroom. Every soul in that room knew the truth now, and the only verdict left was justice. Brandon spun toward the door, but the crowd had become a wall of black cloth and unblinking eyes.
There's no escape, Brandon. Not tonight. You will answer for David's death.
This is a mistake. I am being set up. You have nothing but the word of two criminals.
Your hands tremble like a man with a rope still burning his palms. The blood's on your truck, in your pocket.
Look at me, Brandon. You mourned beside me while his blood was still on the rope. How could you?
He lunged, but strong arms from the crowd pushed him back. There was no exit left but confession.
I am placing you under detention. You are not leaving until this is finished.
Brandon's mask of innocence cracked. Beneath it, raw terror and hatred warred in a face turned ugly.
Even the beast knows the truth, Brandon. You cannot outrun what God and that horse have laid bare.
The circle closed. The man who murdered David Caballero stood pinned by the living, while the dead waited for their due.
You want to know why? David was going to sell the land. He'd leave me with nothing. I had to stop him. I followed him into the woods. I put the rope around his neck. It was quick. I paid Hector and Luis to bury him in the untended plot. I thought the sealed coffin would hide it forever.
His voice broke. The room was silent but for the rain outside.
Money. You murdered my husband for business. You are less than an animal.
You'll answer for it all, Brandon. Every detail, in front of a judge.
The Lord's justice is not mocked. You will face the truth you buried.
Brandon's shoulders sagged. The fight drained from him like water from a cracked vessel.
I never thought anyone would look. I didn't count on that damned horse. He saw everything.
The confession hung in the air. Outside, a horse whinnied, and every heart in the room knew the reckoning was at hand. Sheriff Morales produced handcuffs. The click of metal on wrist echoed like a final gavel.
Brandon Vance, for the murder of David Caballero, I am taking you into custody.
Brandon did not speak. His head bowed, the bravado gone, his eyes staring at nothing.
David can rest now. The truth is free.
The crowd parted, a human corridor from the altar to the door, silent and absolute.
May God's justice and man's grant peace to the innocent and damnation to the guilty.
Isabella watched the man who killed her husband being led into the rain, and she did not blink. Outside, the horse whinnied again, a sound like judgment rolling over the wet hills. The sheriff pushed Brandon into the wagon, his coat soaked, his face a mask of defeat and terror. Isabella stood alone in the candlelight, clutching David's photograph to her chest, her grief now a quiet fire. The wake had shifted. Murmurs replaced screams. Isabella lowered the photograph and faced the remaining mourners with a steadiness that surprised them all.
Father Mateo, you gave me back the truth when everyone else would have buried it. And Cuervo, that horse stood for David when no one else could.
Isabella, it was God's hand and a faithful animal. Your strength now honors David more than tears.
I will not let this ranch fall. I'll run it as David did, with the same love. And Cuervo will have a home here, as long as he lives.
That horse solved a murder, Mrs. Caballero. The town owes him a debt we won't forget.
A murmur of agreement rippled through the room. Candles burned low, but a new light kindled in the eyes of the weary.
I will make this place a testament to his dreams, not his death. With God, and with that horse by my side.
Then let this wake mark not just an end, but a beginning. David's spirit will guide you, and Cuervo will guard his memory.
The priest's hand rose in blessing. The room stood in silent unity, grief transmuting into a quiet, shared purpose. Outside, the rain had stopped. Cuervo stood by the stable, ears pricked, as if he understood the promise echoing in the night. At dawn, Father Mateo led the crowd back to the cemetery. Cuervo was already there, standing over David's new grave.
My children, this horse did not stay by chance. He followed David's body the night he died.
He described how Cuervo slipped free, traced the cart, and saw the secret burial under moonlight.
In the darkness, he watched the coffin swapped. He saw his master buried in unhallowed ground, and then he waited.
Tears ran down weathered faces. No one doubted now. The horse's vigil was proof enough.
He gave us justice. He gave us the truth when the world wanted us blind.
The townsfolk lowered their heads. What they called a warning was now a miracle they had witnessed.
This horse is a messenger of God's truth. We will honor him forever.
One by one, they touched the horse's neck, whispering thanks. Cuervo stood motionless, accepting the love. The stable would come, but now the cemetery was not death. It was a garden of loyalty, watered by the tears of the just. Isabella spoke the words that had been forming all night, her gaze fixed on the cemetery wall.
We will build a stable against this wall. Cuervo will never have to leave David's side again.
The next morning, masons and carpenters gathered beside the wall. Stone blocks and timber lay ready.
In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, I bless this ground. May this stable stand as a testament to loyalty.
Hammers rang through the morning. The smell of fresh-cut stone and hay filled the air. Cuervo stood nearby, watching each stone set into place. His ears swiveled with the rhythm of the work. The town emptied its pockets. Coins, tools, even a silver watch were laid at the site.
This stable is more than wood and stone. It's our promise that loyalty will never be buried again.
Father Mateo set the cornerstone with his own hands, murmuring a prayer. The walls began to rise. By sunset, the frame stood against the cemetery wall, and Cuervo nuzzled the half-finished door, as if giving thanks. When the last stone was set and the roof thatched, Cuervo stood by the door, waiting. He stepped inside, hooves quiet on fresh straw. He nuzzled the hay in the corner, then turned to the half-door. The door framed David's grave, a white cross stark against the hillside.
You can stay with him now, Cuervo. Always.
Tears traced her cheeks, but her mouth held a soft, unbroken smile. The horse nickered low, a sound that mingled with the morning breeze. Isabella leaned her forehead against his neck. The world, for a moment, held its breath. Father Mateo watched from the gate, making the sign of the cross over them both. The stable was more than shelter. It was a promise kept, a vigil honored, and in that quiet, the horse who had refused to move from an empty grave found peace. A few days after the stable was blessed, the whole town gathered at David's grave.
We stand here because a horse refused to leave a lie buried. He showed us that truth is God's work, even through the silent.
One by one, they laid flowers on the mound, hands trembling with reverence.
David's death almost became forgotten in a sealed coffin. You, all of you, and that horse refused to let that happen. Thank you.
That morning, the town paper hit the streets. The headline read simply, "Horse uncovers murder." In the plaza, men and women read in silence, shaking their heads at the miracle they'd witnessed.
Let this grave never be forgotten. Let Cuervo's loyalty be a lesson to us all. Love is stronger than death, and truth will always rise.
When the ceremony ended, Cuervo stood at his half-door, eyes fixed on the grave as if the vigil still called to him.
David, your horse kept watch until the world caught up. Now he'll keep watch forever, and so will I.
The town left flowers, blessings, and a promise whispered into the wind. They would never forget the horse who unearthed the truth. The seasons turned. Isabella took the reins of the ranch with a steadiness born from ashes. She rode Cuervo across the pastures, the black gelding strong and calm beneath the open sky.
He's not just a horse anymore. He's David's heart still beating in our land.
Every Sunday, she walked him to the cemetery. Cuervo stood by the grave, ears forward, a living monument. She no longer wept. The ache had become something gentle, a wound healed clean.
He kept his promise, David. So did you, Cuervo, and so will I.
The town watched with quiet pride. The widow buried in grief had risen as the ranch's heart. Cuervo grew sleek, coat gleaming, the faded ribbon never removed. Some evenings, Father Mateo sat outside the stable, reading from his worn Bible as the sun set. The cemetery was no longer a place of sorrow. It was a garden of loyalty, and a horse kept watch. Dawn broke over the cemetery wall, and Cuervo stepped to his half-door. The first light touched the white cross on David's grave, and the black ribbon tied to Cuervo's halter stirred. His coat gleamed like polished night. No rain fell, but his watch had not ended. He stood, as he had stood for 3 days. But now by choice, not grief. Not grief. The hillside was quiet, save for birdsong and the whisper of wind through the grass. Fresh flowers on the grave caught the sun, a wreath of white and gold. Cuervo's eyes did not wander. They rested on the mound as if guarding a promise. The ribbon, faded but never removed, fluttered like a dark pennant of loyalty. The town below stirred to life, but the cemetery remained a kingdom of silence and remembrance, and so the horse who refused to move from an empty grave kept his watch, an eternal sentinel over the truth.